We are on the last part of our journey here, so let's talk the purpose factor. You both took it. First, let's just hear what were your thoughts, initial thoughts after taking it.
Now I wish I had written them down. Upon just thinking through what the purpose factor is, I was very intrigued because I actually listened to the first podcast episode you were on with everybody else. And hearing about the purpose factor and helping people figure out what is that North Star really intrigued me. Um, as somebody who back in high school took the "What should I do with my life?" test, mine came back as a perfect circle, and I was like, "That doesn't tell me what to do with my life. Should I be a nurse? Should I be, go work at as a male person? I don't know." So, I was so intrigued by this, and reflecting on it a little bit, it felt like a good step forward for even women as a whole. We give so much of ourselves. We're trying to show up for everybody else. We're showing up for our spouse, for our friends, for our job. And it felt like a minute to just stop and say, okay, I need to focus on myself for a little bit. And some of that may be me being afraid to hold up the mirror a little bit, but really kind of pushed me to take that time to push me to spend that time to think about myself and look inwardly. And really, upon taking the test the first time, I had no idea what to expect, which is probably the best way to take it because then
Absolutely.
you aren't skewed by which way should I answer this? Do I want to be, a superhero? Do I want to be something else? And so I really came into it with completely fresh eyes. And the results that came out of it, I was like, wow, I completely see how we got here. And I see how the Enneagram ties into it. And I can understand the things that are learned versus the things that are nurture.
hmm And real quick, before we jump in, I want to hear your thoughts,
Yeah.
but I want to kind of define what purpose is, and that is when you help others with the best of who you are, that's you're living into your purpose. So that's how we define purpose. And then the flip side of that, and what creates kind of this continued feedback, is the fulfillment. And that is you get to experience the best that life has being fulfilled when you are helping others with your purpose. And that's when we know that's when it all comes together. So, Danny, your thoughts?
Yeah, so when I took it, so I feel I'm in a midlife crisis. That age old, what should I do with my life that, we're probably, if we're being honest, kind of maybe always searching for. If lucky few of us, like Steve Jobs, found what they were supposed to do with their lives, and for the rest of us, we had to decide at 18 and sometimes just feel stuck. So, when it came back that my purpose factor is to act with conviction to improve the well-being of others, that tracks so well because even with this podcast, the intent, the reason it started was to give people access to conversations and rooms that they might not normally be able to get into right now.
hmm
And so, but even with things that I'm putting on social media, we've talked about like this, my ice shaker, it has improved my life. Everyone should know about this, like, because it'll improve your life, right? That's just kind of how I've navigated life. Like, I found this guy that talks about the purpose factor assessment and helps you with the Enneagram. This is amazing. It's life changing. You need to know about this. That it resonated so much and it helped me as I am navigating, I love that word, navigating this midlife crisis.
That's awesome. That's
And
awesome.
I
Yeah.
want to chime in and just remind everybody who's listening that it doesn't matter what age you are, start doing the thing now
Mm,
because time's going to pass anyway. Do
yeah.
you want to be 10 years older having accomplished the thing that makes you happy and that you're excited to jump out of bed for in the morning? Or do you want the 10 years to pass and be right where you were?
1,000%.
Gotcha. And for um your purpose, we had talked about it a little bit. Your purpose is to build something bigger than you, to stand up for what's right. And I think that's the piece that maybe you'd kind of said, I don't know about. Um, any thoughts on that?
Yeah. As I was taking it, there were these statements that I think maybe were standing out to me because of the environment, the state of the world that we're in right now, where I'm like, if these things are coming up and they're right in front of me, like, of course I'm going to say something if I think somebody's been racially profiled, if somebody has been spoken to a way that I know I wouldn't want to be spoken to. There are things that I was just, well, of course I'm going to say something if this is in front of me, but I didn't quite feel that it's the thing that I'm so driven to make a change that I'm like, I'm going to law school this year.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That makes sense. Well, one of the things that we want to look at and really kind of focus on, the purpose factor is broken into four pieces. There's your natural advantage, what you're naturally good at, how you naturally show up in your work and daily life. And then there is your acquired skills, so the things you've learned through school, things you've learned through life and work. The third piece is your pull passion. And I really like that one because it's unique. It's something nobody talks about anywhere. And it's that pull passion. That's the problem that you're specifically designed and desire to solve and to go after, is that pull passion. And then the last piece is your origin strength, which really comes from your origin story, how you overcome challenging things. So these four things. But I want to look at your natural advantage first, and we'll go to, since we don't have, each of you don't have yours, I'll pull it up here on my laptop, and you don't have to pull it up if you don't want to, but we'll just look at your natural advantage for each of you. And for you, Nicki, that is the builder advantage. And as you look through and just I'll read just kind of the paragraph on the builder to set the stage here. The builder advantage, they have big visions. They love starting things, but can often get distracted midway through a project and jump to the next idea. Builders value innovation, moving quickly, loyalty, and winning. They make decisions in favor of movement and see any change as good change. Builders don't need to have all the information before making a decision because they predict and sometimes even create change along the way. They are strategic thinkers who are always looking for new opportunities to create and build, making them valuable in dynamic and fast-paced environments. How does that resonate with you?
Heck yes. I love building things, building systems, coming up with new ideas. I think that taps into the creativity piece that I just have so much fun with.
So for both of you, think through a day at work or in your life, or and really an event when you felt the most fulfilled. Whatever that was, whatever that situation. And you may have many, just pick one. And for timing, we'll need to pick it relatively quickly.
I know.
Who cares to go first?
Okay. So, I mean, I feel fulfilled when with the podcast. When someone texts me and says, "Hey, that really resonated," then I know the message landed. Even when I'm putting something on YouTube Shorts, YouTube will tell you how many people thumbs up and thumbs down. And there was one and I got like a lot of thumbs down, and I was like,
Okay, let's
"Oh,
focus on the fulfilled side.
right, right." Well,
So think about the last couple of podcasts
mhm.
and what fulfilled you about the responses that you got.
When the responses that came back and said that it helped someone understand either something about themselves, or I've been focused a little bit more on AI recently, and I feel that if you don't learn AI, you're going to get left behind. So when someone says, "Hey, I learned something about AI," like, I help that person with their AI literacy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your fulfillment factor, that's also part of your purpose factor, comes back as you're most fulfilled tapping into perseverance to effectively communicate and inspire.
Mm.
So there's that perseverance, and I think that's built into your uniqueness of wanting to show something different that then communicates and inspires.
I feel that's accurate. Yeah.
Okay. Has that given you enough time to think of
Yeah.
yours?
One of the things I've worked on recently, scratch that. One of the things I'm most proud of is working with the team. They did a spinoff from their previous parent company and essentially had to reinvent the entire company. It was full brand, full project management. How are we going to invoice people? Moving into a new office. We literally had to create an entire business from scratch, and we were rocking and rolling and had actually started billing people within a month and a half. And so it was the big picture part of it. There were a lot of in the weeds, though, that that was painful. Some of the in the weeds parts painful, change and dealing with people that don't like change, that was painful.
But
But getting to that in place of we did it. This business is rocking and rolling. They're profitable. Clients are happy.
and how how did you know that you had done a good job, that you'd nailed it?
Gosh, it was it when I got to the end of it and could see everything that had been accomplished. And
Okay.
I had to stop and take a minute to look at it because I suffer from that. Well, we always have something else to work on. And so we don't do a very good job of stopping to celebrate the successes. But there actually was a point in which somebody was submitting me for an award and they're like, we need metrics on this. We need metrics on all these things that you accomplished. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll go look it up. And I was, oh, wow, we actually did this. We got a website in place. We got and there were a lot of hands in here.
That's awesome.
I didn't do
That's
it by
awesome.
myself,
Okay.
but all these parts and pieces that we had to bring together. And, I essentially had to help project manage so that at the end of the day, when, we were in the green a month and a half in, like
That's
that's a
awesome.
huge win.
Okay. Do me a favor, both of you. Do you have your purpose factor? If you don't, that's fine. I'll grab yours for you.
Okay.
But go to page 18, and Nikki, while you're doing that, Danny, I can grab yours.
Okay.
Look look at what most frustrates you. And there's 6 items there. Actually, I'm sorry, 5 items there. Pick one of those. Which one of those gets to you that is the most? Is the if you can only pick one, what's the biggest one there?
Oh, okay. There are two that are really popping out to me. One of them is encountering slowness or resistance to change in teams and projects.
What?
Just people, change is going to happen. Get on board. Hop on the change train.
So, and you started to talk about that in your most fulfilled day or most fulfilled event was, oh, there was all these red tapes and change. Oh my gosh. So you hit on this. These are the areas that even as a builder that are going to frustrate you, as you're also seeing as a type 3, and the desire to achieve, the not having that emotional awareness of other people of, hey, I'm kind of a little bit of a bull in a china shop and I'm just gonna let's get it done. I either do your job or move out of the way so I can do your job, right?
That is 100% me. I will do your job if you don't do it fast enough.
And so what we're opening up here is these are opportunities to recognize and to make different and better decisions. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? Danny, were you able to find yours?
They all resonate. I'm thinking of examples for every one of them, but I feel the one that I'll speak to is dealing with censorship or attempts to silence your voice, and that is something that I've spoken to in therapy actually many times. I feel that, and it's reoccurring in dreams too, where I can't speak,
Mhm.
and I feel sometimes I'm only noticed when I become emotional. So there's where some of that tie-in comes in.
Wow.
I People don't take me seriously until I am yelling. And it frustrates me a lot because I will then say, I've done my therapy work. I have communicated what I've needed. It's not being addressed. And now I'm angry and now I'm being overreactive when I can point to specific instances where I've asked for what I've needed. And so it does, and that I feel I'm not being heard.
That's interesting. That is very, very interesting. Now, we didn't read yours because yours is the truth teller um, advantage. So
Mm.
you're the truth teller, which truth tellers have strong convictions. Although not all truth tellers are outspoken in a traditional sense, they do feel the internal drive to uncover truths and share their discoveries with others. Truth tellers are natural skeptics, which makes them very trustworthy and honest. They risk feeling hamstrung by too many ideas, being pulled by the desire to fix everything all at once. Truth tellers make decisions towards reform and will easily say yes when they believe their voice will be heard or they trust the right thing will be done. They are essential in roles that require honesty, transparency, and integrity, often thriving in positions where they can advocate for change and improvement.
Which is funny because, again, once you study addiction, that there's one area of an addict's life where they're dishonest. So they overcompensate in
In all,
every other aspect of life. And I've been told you're honest to a fault.
Hmm.
And that was, I was told that in when I was in active addiction. And I mean, I knew why, you know. So I do feel that this is true, but there's just that layer. People are nuanced, right?
Hmm.
So
What I would really, what would really be interesting to unpack is your presence when you're sharing your feelings or what you want to be heard, and what's really happening in those moments. Why aren't you being heard?
mm,
And what creates the situation that then you have to get angry or emotional or over the top to get heard.
mm, yeah,
That's the piece I would, as you shared that, because what are you doing in the way that you're sharing that maybe you don't realize that causes someone to maybe not hear you and not take it as serious?
interesting.
And is there that little piece inside that, and I would come to you, do you ever find that Dani shares something with you and it kind of just bounces off of you, and it doesn't, and yet she was sharing something very important to her? Has that ever happened?
Yeah.
So my question, and this is now we get into that real coaching piece, and it took us the whole time of our time here to get there, but that's that whole coaching piece of what were you doing, what were you feeling, and what was going on inside of you, and were you really tapping into um, the best of you, or was it something of, well, maybe I want to be really unique, so I'm going to say this in a real kind of,
I think that's where some of the 9 comes in, and I'm thinking of this instance, and Nikki is rarely wrong, okay? And I'm not saying that just as her best friend. There was a moment where we were trying to log on to Teams, and I asked her, "Did you try this?" And she just said, "Yes," and she kept going, and then she came back and did what I initially was like, "Did you try this?" And it worked. And I remember thinking, "Well, I wanna keep my friendship, so I don't want to do anything else." Like, it's we figured it out, it got done. And that's just a rare moment because usually she's right, but that is a rare moment where I know that I held back
mhm.
because I felt I was preserving the friendship, which is where not to tie it back to the Enneagram because we've moved past, where some of that 9 came in. I was like, "Oh, is that why maybe I'm a 9?" But
I don't think so. I think let's, instead of trying to fit personalities to a type, think of it more as what was what was going on in your head, and what was kind of the, either what were you afraid of in telling her that? Could it been that, wow, you might be seen as defective
mm,
or not significant in doing that? And think through even other times, maybe with your spouse, maybe with others, where you've said something and it wasn't heard. What were you afraid of?
Well, I'll just tell you from my outside
Please.
perspective, sometimes whenever we're having those conversations, I feel like she's done so much work to come to grips, maybe that's not the right word, but to wrangle her emotions, I guess, that she comes at it and she's got it so in check that she's coming at it just the water's still, everything's good. And I'm going to tell you all of these crazy things and there are times I have to, I'll be working, I'm thinking we're having a normal conversation, so I'm working and I'm talking and we're having a great time, and then I'm like, "Whoa." And I have to stop what I'm doing and turn and just like focus on her cuz I'm like, "Whoa, this is a lot deeper than a normal, hey, what's going on, girl conversation." She's just done such a good job of like, I'm trying to come at it here and not go over the top with my emotions.
I've noticed that as well.
I'm perfect. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and that's
And
the
this isn't
thing.
this
Like,
isn't critique. It's
No,
not anything. But how can we recognize and how can we bring forward, if this is a pattern and you're not being heard, what's happening to cause that pattern?
mm,
And how can we break that pattern so that you recognize, okay, I need to come forward, and it's okay if there's a little emotion. I don't want to be flying off the hand, screaming and yelling and, tears out of my eyes and whatever, but I want to do it in a way that is healthy, but it's also being authentic to you.
yeah, that's for me in my journal.
Absolutely. So continuing on, let's also look at, and you still have yours up there. Good, Nikki. You talked about encountering slowness or resistance to change in teams and projects. So when you encounter those, what happens? How does that manifest itself? How does that show up for you?
Oh gosh. Definitely frustration. I get frustrated, especially when people are actively going out of their way to prevent change. Creates a lot of frustration.
So
And
when you say
certainly,
frustration, I'm going to pause you.
y-
This is the coaching part of it. So I am going to interrupt you if that's okay.
yeah.
Um, when you say frustration, tell me more. How does frustration, how does it show up for you in your body? Where do you feel that?
Usually I feel it in my jaw, like I clench
Okay.
and I'm just like, ooh. And being that it's a professional settings, oftentimes I really try and reflect on, okay, what's the appropriate response here? How do I show up as a professional in this situation when I really want to tell people to get your crap together and come on, we've got stuff to do.
Now, you mentioned frustration, and that's an easy word to go to. Maybe we can peel that back a little bit. What's more to the frustration? Do you feel heat in your neck? Do you feel it in your, I mean, you said tightness, so you feel tightness in your jaw. What else?
Mm. Usually there's something because a lot of times I'm running projects, and so some of it comes from I feel disrespected. That piece is hard, but yeah, definitely a lot of heat.
Interesting. So in that disrespectful piece, you're feeling maybe even, we go back to a little bit of that shame of, hey, wow, I've worked to do all of this good stuff, good things, accomplishments, and you're not getting your stuff done. How's that going to make me look?
Right?
Okay.
Wow.
So here's a question, and this is a suggestion for next time, because this will happen again.
It does.
It's going to happen again.
People are people.
Amen. And life would be easy if we didn't have people, but we do. So as you have the opportunity, let's kind of walk through an example. Is there a time? It seems like this is pretty fresh for you in what you're saying. So can you think of a time when this has happened, maybe relatively recent, where hey, you knew you were getting frustrated, you probably could feel the tightness in your jaw, you were starting to clench a little bit, you were walking through, wow, I've just been disrespected. Do you have a time like that that you can kind of get to?
Protect the innocent.
um,
We don't have to name names.
right.
Just get to the event. Can you just give me a little overview of what was going on? So give me some specifics, a specific conversation. Maybe let's get to that you started to
Mm.
feel that clenching.
If you want to use me as an example, you're not going to hurt my feelings because I'm pretty sure there was moments where I was not perfect.
Oof.
We didn't need
Only
the we
only
didn't need the
moments,
oof.
only moments when you weren't perfect.
No, I was trying to think of one that even happened with you. um,
Can I throw out a suggestion?
yes,
The
please.
printer.
The printer. What about which? What with it not working?
Or did that not stress you out?
Oh, that totally stressed me out. Okay, let's talk about the printer. There is a large printer that we needed to move from one office to another office. The timing of it, people were frustrated by the wind, and just coordinating to get it into the new building was very difficult. And then once we got it into the new building, there's all these IT things I won't dive into that had to get coordinated in
Hmm.
order for it to work. But then, even once it's in, I don't like where it is. I don't like how it's turned.
So when this was happening, let's
Yeah,
pause right there. You're getting this feedback. I don't like where it's at. I don't like what's going on.
right.
Can you feel the clenching? You're starting to get to this.
You can see it in
You're
her face, Darin.
you're
Yes.
okay. We're getting there. What's going through your mind? What are you thinking in these moments? In that moment.
Oh, in that moment, usually my first instinct is to, okay, what's going to solve this problem and get them to go away?
Okay. Okay.
um, The other piece of it is because a lot of times I'm very problem solving oriented. So I'm like, okay, what's the problem here? What do we need to do to take care of it and make it stop? The other,
So here's a suggestion.
yeah.
So still in that same mode.
Mhm.
I'm really irritated. Why is this printer here? I'm the person causing you the frustration. So we'll just kind of walk through that. I don't like it. Why do we have to change it? It's not where it's supposed to go. It's supposed to point north, not south, whatever. And you're like, for the love of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, just deal with it.
Mhm.
You're there. What would happen? Or actually imagine for yourself in that moment, you recognize the clenching. So you know it's starting to happen, right?
Yes.
So let's work with that. That's our trigger. So what could you do to release or have that clenching relaxed a little bit?
Well, funny you say that. I was like, you know what? Let me work on figuring out a solution for this. I just heard the feedback. And then I went to my office and I shut the door for a minute. And I just had to stand there and just go, okay, it's not going to matter in 5 years. Really, this is not going to matter. And, I try and, my
Shake it
therapist
off.
talks about, try and do something to get that energy out because I could feel the adrenaline from it. And so it was, okay, I'm going to like shake my hands out, stand here, breathe about it for a minute. Doesn't always work to just breathe it out, but, try and just let some of that energy go. And that definitely helped me in
That's
that
perfect.
instance.
So doing that and having that, so having that pause, that's that key. And you chose to go into your office and have that pause and then do something to help you release that energy, that tension that's inside of you. The next piece is the interesting one. What did you start thinking about?
Like once I went to my office.
Yeah.
Oh
You already
gosh.
said it. You just said it. This is not going to matter in.
Oh, yeah. Like this is not going to matter in 5 years. That's what I try and remind myself of, to not take these little inconveniences and blips so seriously.
And so it's that there's kind of 4 steps to this process that it sounds like your therapist has already walked you through. And I'm not a therapist. I don't play one on TV, but as a coach and having gone through my own therapy and having a coach that has ran an entire therapy practice before, yes, I got a lot of the similar things, but it's that 4-step, sometimes 5, but the 4 steps of, one, you got to recognize that trigger, which for many of us, that's that first and sometimes the hardest step initially, is because we don't recognize the trigger. And that's where we got to talk about. And that's why I really had you break down, where do you feel it? What do you feel? And just calling it frustration, that's a cop out, because and nothing bad. It's just, it's too easy. We throw everything into, well, I was angry, I was frustrated, I was irritated, I was pissed off, whatever it was. But it's easy to throw it in there. So we dug into it a little bit more, and we recognized that, yeah, you also felt disrespected. Ooh, wow, that's much different than being frustrated. Disrespecting, that's huge. That's going to then boil up, and I'm guessing that frustration there's probably even some more words we could get to that, because depending on the level, it might have been, wow, that disrespect really maybe even hurt you, and you felt hurt.
100%.
I felt some hurt inside there. And when we're hurt, just like the animals, when you corner an animal, we're going to bow up, we're going to do whatever, and we're going to come after it. So you did the next best thing. You took that pause, you got out of the situation.
Which, let me tell you, that pause for me is the hardest part. Recognizing when I'm there, I'm triggered,
Mhm.
and B, taking that pause and starting to recognize, A, you can take a pause, and B, you probably should take a pause.
Or in the opposite, your over emotional friend. There's times I get upset with my husband and I text her, like, I'm telling you because I value my marriage. And if I say this right now, I'm gonna regret it tomorrow. So she captures my overflowing emotions. So I appreciate that, friend.
You're welcome.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We're going to get to yours in just a second. But we want to walk through, it's that pause, and trigger, recognize the trigger. We have to take the pause, and that pause can be for, Maybe sometimes a couple of seconds. If we're in the moment, sometimes that's all it takes. Maybe it's just taking a breath. If you can go to your room, go to your office and have some time and move away and separate yourself from it, that can be even better. But the next piece is the reframing of that challenge, and you reframed it from this is an emergency right here, right now, this stupid printer to no, I reframed it. This is not going to matter in 5 years. In fact, it's probably not going to matter in 5 minutes and definitely not in 5 hours. It's not going to matter. But 5 years is fine, but you reframed it to something that then now we can handle. Now it's not as big a deal. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And how did you feel after that?
Gosh, honestly, we're still going through it with the printer, but I'm not taking it as seriously as I did that day.
And do you find how do you use this in other ways and in other places, maybe even with your spouse?
Yeah, certainly. But I will say for even this printer situation, also being able to look at it from the viewpoint of how can I empower other people to take this on or handle things for themselves? Because we got into this situation in which it was, Nikki, why aren't you solving this problem? Why aren't you fixing this problem? And even a couple days later, you know what? Here's the contact for IT. You can handle it. You can do it. I believe in you.
And that's very much hey, you can't do it all. You do need to share that and share those responsibilities. So, all right, we got you through that one.
Thanks.
How's that feel?
That was
Oh,
it.
better, right?
We've solved all of my life's problems.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, this because it's going to show up again. It's patterns, and the thing is how often have you been able to practice that and do that? Sounds like you've done it a few times because you knew the steps, you took the steps, and you did it, and it worked pretty well for you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's happened a few times and sometimes are harder than others. But certainly just trying to take a step back. Like we said, take that pause, especially when people are going to be people. And sometimes they want to be disrespectful. That's who they are at their core.
Gotcha.
And yeah, being able to step back from that's their choice and how they want to, act in life. And that doesn't necessarily have to reflect who I am.
Okay. So for you,
Hi.
on your the frustration was around being heard.
Mm.
If you want to use that one, do you have a scenario that?
I mean, I do, but we're just not going to be able to be
No worries.
aired.
Okay. Yeah, because you talked about dealing with censorship or attempts to silence your voice.
Well, I mean, and we can speak to it. Nikki knows everything, but again, for the listener, we will probably edit this out and just
Okay.
get some clarity. She wants to say something. Go ahead.
Oh, just that you're literally married to your best friend. It's me.
Yeah. There are a lot
He
of
and I have,
similarities with Nikki and Brian.
You really
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of, well, he had to.
And yeah, I will start saying something and she'll finish his thought. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even have to say it. Like, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I know. I got there.
And we'll come back to the conversation. Thank you for joining back with us with Hat and Cattle Community. But that has been an example of things that have happened in my previous relationships.
And the interesting piece of that is whose pattern is that?
Mm-hmm.
This is where you answer the question.
Yeah. I do know that I can be more assertive in asking for what I need. Because the struggle is I do want people to reach that point on their own without me having to asking, because then I feel that cheapens the ask.
It's really interesting you say that because as your friend, I find myself admiring. One of the things I admire about you is that you do go and ask for the things that you want. For instance, Dani will always ask for her husband to go and change the oil, get air in the tires. If it is related to the vehicle, she is asking that her man take care of it. And I'm like, I just do that myself.
So this is where I would probably, if we had more time and if we were doing this moves us away a little bit from the purpose factor. The purpose factor really gives us that direction we want to go, but the Enneagram, until we kind of get out of our own way in a lot of ways, that's the process. But for you, spending a little bit more time and recognizing that both the healthy and the unhealthy sides of the two, because what you're describing is very much that. It's
Yeah.
very, very much that. And there's a scorekeeping going on that you're keeping whether you like it or not. And it creates that um well, it creates the anger pieces of it, and for you it's that shame of kind of like you being disrespected. It's you're being disrespected, or you're feeling disrespected because someone's not recognizing what you need and not even trying to fulfill it.
Mm.
But what the place I wanted to go to on this, and I pulled it up here. This is going into a little deeper into the Enneagram, but it's so key. And good gracious, we really do need to do it for you too, because there's with the Enneagram types, there's what's called stances. Okay. So there's a dominant stance, supportive stance, and then a repressed. And like I mentioned to you, threes are both feeling dominant and they're feeling repressed. So
We feel it all.
correct. And then you support that by thinking and doing. So that's why you kind of say, I don't have time for feelings because they get in the way of getting stuff done. So I'll think about it and I'll do it. Right.
Absolutely.
And when you do have feelings and you're going to push them down and shove them as far down deep and away as you possibly can because they get in the way.
Exactly.
Okay. For our four here, you're feeling dominant, not that there's any surprise there. You then support that with your thinking,
Mm.
which can then cause more feelings to happen, and you're doing repressed. Now, that doesn't mean you don't do things, because good gracious, you're very accomplished and you do great things. What that means is it takes a little bit more for you to get going into doing those things. But it's that dominant stance in the feeling side of what's going on in here, and it then becomes it's how you relate to everything in the world.
Mm.
So when and if we assume that your husband is a three, where he's both feeling dominant and repressed, and in his mind feelings get in the way of doing things,
Uh-huh.
probably talking about feelings is going to get in the way.
Mm.
So finding a balance for you two is going to be in kind of finding that safe place of, okay, hey, we're going to have to talk feelings because mine are not being met. And I'm being you, Danny's not being met. And you're feeling, and he's going to be like, okay. And here's a crazy idea. And I'm pulling this out. We said this was unscripted. This is about as unscripted as it could get. Get with Nicki
Uh-huh.
and tell her what's going on.
Yes.
Create her a to-do list.
Oh, I love a to-do list.
She sure does.
And what the to-do list is, and then hand it to husband. You give the to-do list to her. She hands it to her husband. Hey, tonight for date night, here's the list. Make it happen.
I am all over this.
Oh my
You might
God.
have to have some fun with it. You might have to work with it, and maybe an adult beverage or two to relax things a little bit. But have some fun with it. See what happens. See what he does.
That'd be interesting. Oh my gosh. This actually sounds kind of fun.
It does.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, flip side, talking about me, he was talking through like what it's like for a three. This is very morbid, but whenever my dad passed away, he'd been on hospice for a while, so it wasn't a big surprise, but it's still never easy losing someone. But I'm the person you want on your team. I repressed those feelings. We got everything taken care of. Everything was in its place. We checked all the boxes. And then once everything was, squarely handled
Mhm.
and dealt with, then it was time to have emotions.
That is
Yes.
where I'm like you. Or yes, I have an ex had a heart attack, and people have told me I'm surprised how efficiently you handled that, taking him to the hospital and all this, like step, 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 step. I was like, I had no choice. I had to be the even one. He was wheeled off to surgery. I bawled.
Yeah, got to take care of business, and then we can deal with our emotions.
Very, very rare case I can repress to get things done.
Proud of you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So anyway, this has been fantastic. We
Yeah.
could probably
Oh, I
even have
know.
part two. But
Well, this is already going to be in 2 parts because it's 2 hours. But
yeah.
Darin, I and Nicki, appreciate you both coming back, Nikki, for being open and vulnerable in front of, some people. I don't even know some of the people who are listening to this podcast, which I mean is pretty amazing that it's grown. And Darren, that you were willing to come back and go through this and just show the community what a coaching session is like. And I think we hit on something because it took about an hour and a half in to then, yeah, we started getting to the heart of things. And that's really how a good session will go. You have to break that ice and you have to get comfortable, and then the work starts to happen. And I feel because we've both gone through therapy, our own journeys, we were maybe able to get there a little faster than some people. But I cannot thank you both enough for helping the community learn more about themselves, because that's how we level up our success.
I think it's awesome, and I love what you're doing. I appreciate it. This has been a great event and very unscripted, as we said, and we've had some fun. It can take a little bit to get in there, and given the fact that there's pieces that I know you a little better
Hmm.
than I knew Nikki. This is the first time we met, so we might have asked some other questions a little more quickly. But yeah, 90-minute sessions are perfect. That's how I typically work, and we can really make some magic happen. And it's not a one and done. These are life patterns, and they don't change overnight.
Again, 1,000%. So, again, with Hat and Cattle brings you stories that leave you better off for listening. And I hope our stories and our journey here today has given you some things to reflect on.